Where time at? Time come out to play. Time come.
Slapper. If I could go Gary, I'd go Gary for this one. Shout out to Anthony Foley. Yeah. This right here is a slapper. Yeah. Come on. This right here is a slapper. Yeah. Come on. This right here is a slapper. Yeah. This right here is a slapper. Yeah, this beat is my bitch, I'm a pimp. Slapper. I'm in the club trying to fuck something after. Real trap nigga sell a perk to a pass. When I'm done with this hoe, you can have. I'ma find something better. Yeah. And if the pussy good nigga, I'ma tag her. Ain't a nigga in this game that wanna battle. I'm a king on the throne in my castle. She get freaky when I'm out in the capsule. Beat banging like 96. But I never snitch like a 6'9". Nope. Pull up in a 6'4". Throwing up the motherfucking west side. Crips riding with me like it's 92. New J's on Carolina blue. Getting to the bag like I'm Uncle Scrooge. Yeah, I've been through a lot and got a lot to prove. This right here is a slapper. 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 This right here is a slapper.
Bustin' the dough like Urkel, nigga smoking purple. Pull off in my whip, screech, huh, Lisa Turtle. Bitch body and bag of her, man, she wear a girdle. Put the condom on my dick because the bitch is fertile. Beat slapping like he 40 on it. Got my little Brody on it. All the smoke, you know we want it. LA shit, West Coast, we stay lit. Volume 10, nigga stay with the pistol grip. 2 chains on my neck, no titty boy. Like a beat out the ring, huh, like my name was Roy Jones. Take that, huh, Sean Combs. And if she ain't fucking, she could catch a Uber home. No dreads, but go dumb with the bald head. Mars got a high success rate like the feds. Throwing the towel, y'all little dogs, bow wow. And I'm a big dog, get you up like puppy chow.
This right here is a slapper. 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 This right here is a slapper.
I ain't on my shit, I ain't feeling myself. Yeah, I keep a bad bitch on my whole top shelf. Like my nigga said, this right here is a slapper. Look for it in your baby mama favorite rapper recipes. Factory, go stupid, go down. I don't give a bitch nothing but hard dick and bubble. From the Bay to LA, all my niggas getting rich. Do the hawk on the horn, just sauce on my bitch. I made it one time. Swing a Benz like a Hyundai, rolling up tree like bonsai. Nigga, what's beef to a small fry? I get on a bitch heels like fungi. Catch me at the side show blowing Zot. Gas ain't gon' eat paper plates on the cot. On the tip of tycoon, all my niggas do is sumo. Niggas mad cause they bitch wanna kick it like judo.
This right here is a slapper. 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 This right here is a slapper.
This right here is a slapper. They are mad at your boy John Fetterman. They mad at your boy. I told you that they was gonna kick. Wait a minute. What the hell is that?
What's that there? Come on to the post. Everybody move in.
Wait a minute. We can't play that. We can't. Where the hell is that at?
Everybody move in. Push that there. Tambo and I've been done.
Wait a minute.
Been here like.
We can't play no shit like that. Wrong page. Well, anyway, the Democrats are mad at your boy John Fetterman, right? And I told you a while back, right? I used to didn't like John Fetterman. Remember when he was running against Dr. Oz? I was calling him all kind of retards. This nigga came on there like, hello, good night. I said, it is over. Can't nobody vote him in. It is over. This dude is mentally ill. He just got out of the hospital for having a heart attack, right? And the first thing he said is, hello, good night. I said, this shit is over. It is no coming back from this. But evidently, as we saw, he won. And even then, I still didn't give his ass no fair break. Because I was like, aha, Democrats, that's what you get. His ass went to the mental hospital and you messing with a retard. Aha, right? But I guess I was wrong on all that because I started liking John Fetterman after a while. I started listening to him, and I started hearing the shit he was saying. And I'm like, John Fetterman is not all that bad, right? And then he got to agreeing with certain policies I agree with, disagreeing with this certain policies that Democrats. I'm like, hold on, I don't like all this shit, but he's kind of down the line on certain kind of shit. Well, you know the Democrats can't have that, right? But now they're trying to say John Fetterman is crazy and they need to relieve him of his duties. Now, Joe Biden, right? Now, the thing about Joe Biden and John Fetterman is John Fetterman is actually getting better. We can see that. We can see from the debate, right? We can see from his heart attack. We can see from his speech, from his interviews. We can tell he's getting better. He's not all the way there, but we can see he's getting better in front of him. Like, damn, John Fetterman came a long way from the debate. John Fetterman came a long way from his acceptance speech. He came a long way on his interviews. He's talking with a little sense now. Right? We saw that in our face, and we couldn't deny it. Even though you probably disagree with John Fetterman, you probably don't even like John Fetterman, but you cannot deny that John Fetterman got better right in our face. Booyah. On the other hand, you got Joe Biden. Joe Biden absolutely got worse in our face. The stuttering got worse. The forgetfulness got worse. The sleepiness got worse. The absence got worse. the stumbling and mumbling and falling and all that shit got worse. Right? And they denied that. Oh, man, Joe Biden is the best Joe Biden ever. Oh, Joe Biden runs circles. Joe Biden is the first one up and the last one down. Joe Biden is doing this and Joe Biden is doing that, but why we don't see it? Why we can't see what the hell Joe Biden's mental capacity is? But all y'all can see it behind closed doors. Right? So Joe Biden got worse and John Fetterman is getting better, but now they want to kick John Fetterman out the party, right? Even breaking news today, right? This came out a couple of hours, right, ago. John Fetterman has raised alarms with outbursts at meeting with union sources say. It's always sources, right? Sources on Donald Trump, right? Sources on this everybody. It's always a source when it comes to the Democratic Party. Now, it's two ways that you can go about getting power. Now, we say the Democrats would do anything to get power, right? And that is true. And they're supposed to. They're supposed to do anything in their power to get power, right? Anything in their ability. Because the Republicans will do the same thing. Now, you worried about people fucking you. All politicians are going to fuck you. Even Donald Trump going to fuck you. But it's how you fuck me. You know what I'm saying? It is the difference, right? Don't just fuck me and just tell me nothing about what you're doing. No Vaseline. I'm going to give it to you raw. You don't care for her. You don't care about the after effects. You're not telling me what you're gonna do before. You're basically taking it from me, right? That's what the Democrats doing. They take it from you, right? And then you ask them what they doing. They say nothing. Don't worry about it. It's not gonna hurt, right? Everybody does it. They're trying to convince you of certain things. Now, on the Republican, if they fuck you, they're gonna tell you. If Donald Trump gonna fuck you, he's gonna tell you. Look, man, we may get hit with some tariffs. Shit may be rough. We may have to report. It may be some mistakes in the deportation, but we finna get some motherfuckers out of here, right? It may be hard times here, but we're gonna do it. He tell you what he's gonna do. Now, some people, a lot of people agree with everything he's doing, right? And it's not no fucking. But the people who don't agree with him, at least he's telling you he's about to fuck you. If you're about to raise taxes on you, he's about to tell you, I'm about to fuck you, right? If he want to hit you with a tariff, he's going to tell you, I'm about to fuck you, right? If you want to take over your country, he's going to tell you, I'm about to fuck you. He would tell you these things. The Democrats don't tell you none of these things, right? I'd rather get fucked with somebody going to tell me what they're going to do than somebody going to deny it, right? Let's see what they say about Mr. John Fetterman, right? Democrat John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, right? Last week with representatives from teachers union in his home state when things quickly devolved. And how did they devolve? Before long, Fetterman began repeating himself, shouting and questioning, why everybody mad at me? Why does everybody hate me? What did I ever do? Ain't that the line from Everybody Hate Chris? Why everybody hate Chris? But everybody evidently hates John Fetterman, at least everybody on the Democratic side, right? And slamming his hands on the desk, according to one person who was briefed on what occurred. One person was briefed on what occurred, right? No anonymous sources, no name behind it. One person, I guess it's a whistleblower. As the meeting deteriorated, a staff member moved to end it and ushered the visitors into the hallway where she broke down crying. The staffer was confronted by teachers who were themselves rattled by Fetterman's behavior, according to a second person who was briefed separately on the meeting. So you got one person that was talking about the slamming their hands, and you got another anonymous source talking about the crying of the teachers. Right? The interaction at Fetterman's Washington office described to the Washington Press by two people who spoke about it on conditions of anonymity. Keep my name out of this. I don't want you to say I told you this. Came the day before New York Magazine published a story in what former staff and political advisors to Fetterman aired concerns about the senator's mental health. Nothing about Joe Biden mental health, but we got Fetterman mental health. The story included a 2024 letter also obtained by the AP Press, right? You got a letter by the AP Press, right? And it was talking about how John Fetterman is going crazy. John Fetterman is going crazy. We don't know what John Fetterman might do. What the hell? We don't know what John Fetterman, Mr. Fetty Rock might do. Now, these are the Democrats, right? And it goes to show, if you don't go with the Democrats say, if you don't follow their playbook.
Breaking news coming off.
Right? If you don't follow their playbook, your ass is ousted. Just look at everybody that the Democrats have turned on for just meeting with Donald Trump, for agreeing with Donald Trump on one issue, right? But now the Democrats say Fetterman is unfit to hold the office, and we got evidence. We need him up out of here. Let's get him. Let's go.
Capitol Hill this hour. CNN sitting down exclusively with Senator John Fetterman.
Major headline here, and what is a very long piece, is that some of the people closest to Senator Fetterman, really close, are extremely concerned about his well-being and mental health.
He is pushing back on recent questions that have been raised about his fitness to serve in office now and into the future.
Yeah, that's right. It's, I mean, it was a really hard story to work on, to be honest. It was a sad story. These are a lot of people who truly believed in Fetterman for a long time.
Hey, he's pushing back at these allegations that were detailed on the record by his former chief of staff, Adam Gentleson, who had raised concerns that John Fetterman, who was public about his battles with depression last year, who had checked himself into Walter Reed Hospital for 6 weeks, was no longer following the medical regimen that was laid out by his doctors in the aftermath of his treatment for clinical depression.
Look, do you look? Think about what they're. I want somebody to catch what he just said, right? What they said about the doctors, right? I want you to catch. Did anybody catch what they said? What he said, they said, right? I want you to pay close attention to the bullshit that the news reported. Anybody pay attention to that just now, right? Michelle, did you? Eugene, did you? Rashid, did you? Terrence, did you? Did anybody pay attention to that, right? Did you, Miss Black Barbie? Huh? Did you, Miss Chocolate and Cocoa? Did anybody pay attention to what he just said, that the people that was following him and the people that, right, and the people that was working for John Fetterman said, do you hear that? Let me play one more time.
Concerns that John Fetterman, who was public about his battles with depression last year, who had checked himself into Walter Reed Hospital for 6 weeks, was no longer following the medical regimen that was laid out by his doctors in the.
Huh? Did you hear what he just said? He said that the people that work for him, the people that work for John Fetterman, tell me if I'm wrong with Chocolate and Cocoa. He said the people that work for John Fetterman was concerned that he wasn't following his doctor's orders. Now, the first question I would have for them is, how in the fuck did you get the doctor's order? How in the fuck do you know what the doctor told him to do? How do you know the public, the private conversations that him and his doctor had? Right? That would be the first question I would ask somebody. We're concerned that he's not following his doctor regimen. Really? How do you know what the doctor told him to do? How do you know how far along he came in his treatment, what he do need and what he do not need? Huh? How do you know more than him about what he's supposed to do according to his doctor? Am I right? Am I wrong? Drunky Cheese? Huh? Tell me, am I right or am I wrong? Sherry K, DK in the house. Am I right or am I wrong? How in the hell? Thank you. We was asking, he wasn't really following his doctor's resume. How the fuck do you know what the doctor told me? That's not none of your business.
His former chief of staff, Adam Gentleson, who had raised concerns that John Fetterman, who was public about his battles with depression last year, who had checked himself into Walter Reed Hospital for 6 weeks, was no longer following the medical regimen that was laid out by his doctors in the aftermath of his treatment for clinical depression. And when I asked him about the concerns about erratic and reckless behavior detailed in that New York Magazine story, he pushed back.
Some of them have political disagreements with him now, and a lot of people want to make this all about political disagreements.
And it's just a disgruntled group of people, and there's only one there. So that's the same thing. There's no new news involved for this.
Yes.
But these are people who are genuinely worried about him. They had a hard time working for him.
From the seemingly mundane, he eats fast food multiple times a day, to the scary, we do not know if he is taking his meds and his behavior frequently suggests.
Look. They say he eat fast food, right? And we don't know if he's taking his medication or not, but from his actions, we don't think so. What? So now, not only are y'all saying what the doctor done told him, right? And he's not following the resume, you don't even know, and you think he's not even taking his medication that's prescribed to him by the doctor in the levels of he's supposed to be taking. You don't even think he's taking that. According to them, they the experts, right? Oh, he eat too much fast food. Remember, this is the same person. They broke rules for in the House saying, well, you can be able to come to the Congress. I mean, to the Congress any way you want to, with a hoodie and shorts and anything. They broke etiquette for this fool. Now, all of a sudden, he's mentally unfit, right? I don't think he's able to hold office. What? Y'all know what the medical doctor done told him and what he is and what he's not taking.
Worried about him. They had a hard time working for him.
From the seemingly mundane, he eats fast food multiple times a day, to the scary, we do not know if he is taking his meds and his behavior frequently suggests he is not.
The individual is a former chief of staff who has said that he's concerned about your well-being, which is why he went public.
We often see the kind of warning signs we discussed, Gentleson wrote. Conspiratorial thinking, megalomania, for example. He claims to be the most knowledgeable source on Israel and Gaza around, but his sources are just what he reads in the news.
Right? Did you hear that? Right? The subject concerns, right? What it said, right? Wrote, right? What it said? Megalomania, right? What the hell is that? Oh, megalomania. I thought it meant MAGA. Okay, well, it was mega. I thought she mispronounced it. Shit. Megalomania, for example. He claims to be not most knowledgeable sources of Israel and Gaza around, but sources say, right, he only reads the news. Right? Now they say he don't know his topics, right? They say he's incapable of doing his job. Where was all this energy at before he was running for the Congress? Right? That lets you know the Democrats will do anything for power. And once they get the power, they will do anything to keep it. Since they figure they can't keep it with him, he got to go.
Knowledgeable source on Israel and Gaza around, but his sources are just what he reads in the news.
And, they want to see him get back on his recovery plan. They feel like he has fallen off the recovery plan that he was on.
Basically, this is
we feel that he fell off the recovery plan that he was on. We feel that way. We do. Huh? We don't know him personally. We only work with him, but we feel that he's not on a recovery plan that his doctor gave him. We feel this.
Back on his recovery plan. They feel like he has fallen off the recovery plan that he was on.
Basically, this is someone who had a stroke in the campaign, had to come back from that stroke and go campaign, even as he is having severe auditory processing issues as a result, which is a nightmare if you have to talk all the time. He manages to get elected, and then he checks himself into Walter Reed for 6 weeks for depression.
He declines most briefings, never reads memos. High highs, low lows, long, rambling, repetitive, and self-centered monologues, lying in ways that are painfully, awkwardly obvious to everyone in the room.
Don't that sound like Joe Biden, right? Don't that sound like Joe Biden? Right? He declines most briefings. Didn't Joe Biden do that? And never read memos. Well, we know Joe Biden didn't read no damn memos, right? High highs and low lows. Well, we know Joe Biden went from 0 to 100. He went from angry Joe to discombobulated Joe in one day. Rambling, well, Joe Biden definitely ramble. Repetitive, oh, we definitely know Joe Biden do repetitive shit, right? And self-centered monologues. Oh, Joe Biden. Well, I've done this and I've done that. Lying in ways that are painful, awkward, obvious to everyone in the room. Ha! Right? Wasn't it? Joey, baby. Remember Joe Biden was saying that? I rode the train for 1 million miles, 5 million miles. Joey, baby. We know this shit was live. Corn pop and all this sort of shit, right? I saw two boys and two men, and they was kissing. I said, Pops, what are they doing? Right? He said, they're in love, Joey. Right? We know Joe Biden been lying like a motherfucker. He said he was Indian, Puerto Rican. He had cancer. Right? Remember, he said he was the top of his class. Right? He graduated. All the black shit he done. He went to jail with Nelson Mandela. Like, We know he was lying. It's noticeable to everybody in the fucking room. The price of bacon going down. I like this nigga is lying like a motherfucker. But they accuse Fetterman everything that Joe Biden was displaying publicly. They say Fetterman is doing it privately. Think about it. They said Joe Biden does this shit in public so we all can see, but never mind. But Fetterman does this shit in private when we need to pay attention.
Centered monologues, lying in ways that are painfully, awkwardly obvious to everyone in the room.
What do you say to someone like him who's concerned about? He says he's concerned about your personal well-being.
But over time, some of the people that I talked to started to believe that maybe he wasn't as good as he had let on, and that behind the scenes they were having a very difficult time with him, where he would shut down, he wouldn't do the job. There would be days where they'd have to clear his schedule so he wouldn't kind of be around people saying what was described as unhinged stuff.
And that was Joe Biden had to clear his schedule so he go to sleep, right? So he wouldn't say unhinged stuff. So they had to correct the same thing they said to Joe Biden in public. They said about John Fetterman in private.
It's like now he's had a weird grudge. And he has threatened to do this for quite a while. And if you're really concerned about someone, you could say, hey, let's sit down. Can we talk? It's not like going to the media. And that's why somebody that has an agenda, it's like a hit piece.
New York Magazine dropped a hit piece on Democratic Senator John Fetterman.
The report laid out concerns from some of Fetterman's current and former staffers.
Eventually it got to a point where one of these former staffers sent a long email to Senator Fetterman's doctor to kind of, I don't know, I'd say ring the alarm bell. Right.
They sent the email to his doctor and told his doctor to ring the alarm bell. Right? They said, look, man, we see what you don't see. We need you to ring the alarm bell. Do you see? Oh my God, these Democrats are crazy. They know how much medicine he's taking. They can tell about his mood swings. He ain't taking the medicine. They wrote an email to his doctor saying, look, ring the alarm. Tell people he's not fit. They're not only going after him publicly. They're going after him medically. Medically. Did I say that right? Medically. Right? Well, it's medically. Yeah. They're going at him medically. That's crazy. When somebody is so obsessed and wants you out of office so bad, they write a note to your doctor saying, ring the alarm. Wow. They never wrote a note to Joe Biden doctor saying, ring the alarm. He falling off bikes, stumbling over stairs, shaking hands with dead people, kissing babies in the back of the neck. But nobody thought nothing of it. John Fetterman getting better, and they said, look, man, ring the alarm on this fool.
And former staffers.
Eventually it got to a point where one of these former staffers sent a long email to Senator Fetterman's doctor to kind of, I don't know, I'd say ring the alarm bell that things weren't going well.
Senator, you've been public about your struggles with depression, and you had a prescription regimen of drugs to take in the aftermath of your time. Have you been keeping up with that, taking your medication?
I want to. My doctors are like, John is great, and I am on all of the plan that it's always been, and it's incredibly invasive.
Right? Think about this, right? If you have, they're like, well, you have a resume and you have this and like, well, ain't that between me and my doctor? The doctor said I'm good. The doctor said I'm great. Right? I'm on any plan that he says I'm on. He said I'm good. If not, he will say something. Right? But think about this. I go back to everything Tom Cruise say, right? And Tom Cruise made perfect point when I tried to make a point to people, right, about medication and things like that. Tom Cruise made a perfect point about Brooke Shields. Was it Brooke Shields when he was dating her? and she was on the medical drugs and stuff like that. And I make this point. I even played it on my channel one time. At the perfect situation where somebody's going through mental health is to get them off of psychiatrics, and then get them off of drugs, or to give them back to their natural state. Ain't that the whole purpose? It's not to keep them on drugs. It's not to keep them on the medication. It's not to keep them on the dependence. It's to get them to a level where they can get off and they can handle a situation on their own. But they continuously on drugs. They continuously need this stuff for their well-being, their mental stability and shit like that, right? They'll never get better and they'll be dependent on that drug for life, right? But just like John Fetterman, for example, if he had a psychiatric problem, right, he's getting better with the medicine and with his mental whatever, right? Shouldn't he be getting less medication and less medication, and the better he get? But they want to keep him on more medication. Nah, give him more medication. He's not following what the fuck we want him to do. Rena Lawrence, get a nigga more medication. He's not following the rest of the resume. Keep him doped up. Keep him high as a kite, right? We want to give him more medicine, right? Not get him back to the basic where he was before, when he didn't need this shit. We want him to double up on it, because we don't feel like he is thinking in our best interests.
My doctors are like, John is vacation. I want to. My doctors are like, John is great, and I am on all of the plan that it's always been, and it's incredibly invasive. And why are people talking about anyone's personal medical things? It's that, I think most people would agree that's really, really invasive.
Members of his team told this journalist this was an early warning sign that something was off with their boss in early February 2023, after Fetterman had indeed been sworn in. Members.
Right, what does this say? Sherry K said his wife up and left him. That's when he committed himself, if I remember right. She's like, you know what? I'm getting up and leaving. Like, you know what, bitch? I'm going to the mental hospital. Right? You leave me, bitch. I'm going crazy. I'm killing myself. Like, oh no, don't do it. So, Nancy pouring vodka over a bowl of pills for breakfast. I can see it now. I can see that bitch now too, right? Vodka and antidepressants. Right? That's why she be coming up sometimes like that be that pill taste in her mouth. She's like, well, I got a pill stuck in my mouth. Bitch, you eat pills for breakfast? Yes, it's healthy. Like, what all kind of pills you take? Right? I take vodka. Bitch, that's not a pill. No, that's just the milk. Right? That's instead of milk, I pour vodka. You wait a minute, bitch. You take antidepressants with vodka? That's the best way to take them, baby. Like, wait a minute, Nancy, your ass gonna die of a heart attack. What the fuck is you doing taking Percocets, vodka, high blood pressure pills, diabetes pills, and motherfucking Therozine? Like, you can't be taking all them shit, Nancy. The fuck you eating you ought to see what I have for lunch. Like, wait a minute, bitch, you got Nancy like a pill monster. I'm gonna see her just like on the as soon as drugs become legal and shit, you can see Nancy Pelosi like on the Captain Crunch. Like, she'd be on the Captain Crunch box or something like that, but she'd be on the pill, you know what I'm saying, box, just like the Captain Crunch character, with a bowl with a spoon full of pills and shit and vodka putting it in her mouth and shit. Like, this bitch is drunk. Like, vodka, like, no, I'm not drunk. The pills sober me up. Like, wait a minute, the pills balance me out. That's what I'm trying to say. Vodka and antidepressant pills is the breakfast of champions. Like, this bitch is gonna go to hell for advertising that. Let's go back to John Fetterman, because Nancy gonna go to hell for eating pills and like they bowls of cereal.
Really invasive.
Members of his team told this journalist this was an early warning sign that something was off with their boss in early February 2023, after Fetterman had indeed been sworn in. Members of the Senate gathered at the Library of Congress for a caucus retreat. Fetterman, fresh off a hard-fought victory in the cycle's marquee race, should have been riding high, only he wasn't.
Most alarming detail in the piece was an alleged episode in February 2023 after Fetterman had been sworn in. Magazine wrote in part that Fetterman, fresh off a hard-fought victory in the cycle's marquee race, should have been riding high, only he wasn't.
Can you explain what happened with those driving incidents? It was a reckless driving incident last year, and there was something in the concern in that article about you driving, getting behind the wheel.
Staffer recalled getting a text from a person at the retreat asking if their boss was okay. Fetterman was sitting at a table by himself, slowly sipping a Coke and refusing to talk with anybody.
Because Fetterman, like, leave me the fuck alone, right? Leave me the fuck alone. Sometimes you gotta just leave somebody the fuck alone. You can't just be in everybody's business, right? You can't just be like stalking people and following their every move on Instagram and social media, and every time they talk, right? You got something to say, right? You got something to critique. You gotta leave people the fuck alone. You gotta leave them where they at, right? Let people be them, right? Everybody gotta stay out of everybody's business, right? Leave me the fuck alone. Right? If you're crazy, right? If you're crazy, you're crazy. If you know, but you gotta leave people the fuck alone, right? And I stay out of people's business because I don't want to be in people's business, right? I don't want to be in nobody's business and no shit like that, right? I don't want to be in nobody's business because people's business is their business, right? You gotta leave people the fuck alone.
BookOnDollar.com.
Leave people the fuck alone. Stay out of my business and I stay out of your business, right? Stay out of mine and I'm going to stay out of yours.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone, bro. Leave me alone. There should be no more shade room. Calling all hoes. Calling all hoes. One of y'all put that good thing on them. Put that good thing. Put somebody please put that. Calling all hoes. All hoes. Calling all hoes. All hoes. Calling all hoes. All hoes.
Yeah.
Calling all hoes. All hoes. Put that good thing on them. Put that good thing on them. Put that good thing on them. Good thing on them. Good thing on them. Put that 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 good thing on them. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone, bro. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone, bro.
That's what Fetterman want to say. Leave me alone, bro. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone, bro. Leave Fetterman the fuck alone, right? Leave Fetterman the fuck alone. He ain't bothering nobody. Fetterman ain't in nobody's business, right? Fetterman is not messing with nobody from the Democratic Party. Leave Fetterman the fuck alone. He's sitting at the table drinking his Coca-Cola. He's not bothering nobody. Leave Fetterman the fuck alone.
Staffer recalled getting a text from a person at the retreat asking if their boss was okay. Fetterman was sitting at a table by himself, slowly sipping a Coke and refusing to talk with anybody. Later that day, another staffer heard an alarming report from a journalist. Fetterman had just walked obliviously into the road and was nearly struck by a car.
Now, it's like there's no news. There's no news on those things. It was an accident.
Most alarming detail in the piece was an alleged episode in February 2023 after Fetterman had been sworn in. Magazine wrote in part that Fetterman, fresh off a hard-fought victory in the cycle's marquee race, should have been riding high, only he wasn't. Fetterman was sitting at a table by himself, slowly sipping a Coke and refusing to talk with anybody. Later that day, another staffer heard an alarming report from a journalist. Fetterman had just walked obliviously into the road and was nearly struck by a car.
You see how all of these anonymous sources make the news, right? All these people not putting their name behind stuff. This anonymous source, all of them saying he almost got struck by a car. He was at the victory party by himself, sipping on the Coke. Right? You see all these anonymous sources coming out now, right? Oh, he was in a car accident with his wife. That's when he went to the mental hospital. He hopped out the car. You see all this shit coming out now? It didn't come out when he was voting Democrat, right? It wasn't coming out when he was a Biden supporter. But all this shit coming out now.
According to this reporting.
Another serious claim was that Fetterman didn't get his blood drawn for months, even though his recovery regimen required it. The article also touched on how Fetterman's staunch Israel stance allegedly affected his.
They said he didn't get his blood drawn for months. How do you know? Who told you this? Did he tell you this? Did the doctor tell you this? Did the hospital tell you this? They say he hasn't got his blood drawn for months. How in the fuck do you know?
Another serious claim was that Fetterman didn't get his blood drawn for months, even though his recovery regimen required it. The article also touched on how Fetterman's staunch Israel stance allegedly affected his relationship with staffers and even his wife.
You fully plan to serve your full term here in the Senate.
Come on.
Now they're going into his wife. It said it affected the relationship with his work and his wife. Right? So now you're affected with your mental health, your wife, your relationship, politics. Are you ready to retire? Are you going to serve your full term?
The article also touched on how Fetterman's staunch Israel stance allegedly affected his relationship with staffers and even his wife.
You fully plan to serve your full term here in the Senate.
Come on. Of course, that's obviously everybody understands I was treated for depression.
Journalist Stephen L. Miller, however, writes on X, remember, John Fetterman was fine and good and only needed hearing aids and was brave and courageous right until he defended Israel's response to the largest mass murder of Jews since the Holocaust. Now he's sick, unrecognizable.
Right, now he's sick, unrecognizable, right? he was perfect, right? All the way until he defended the Jews, right? After he defended the Jews, oh, this nigga's sick. We can't use it no more, right? This nigga's out of line, right? You can't do one thing against the grain or against the Democrats or your ass is gone. He was perfectly fine till his ass started going against the Jews. Rooting for the Jews.
And needs to be in a recovery since the Holocaust, right until he defended Israel's response to the largest mass murder of Jews since the Holocaust. Now he's sick, unrecognizable, and needs to be in a recovery at home.
Now, one of the things that's publicly clear is a change in the political trajectory of Fetterman.
Fetterman went on to make statements that shocked people in opposing a ceasefire with regards to Gaza.
He was considered a rising star in the party. He won, the Senate race in Pennsylvania with a profile that was in some ways very Trumpian, but on the left side, right?
He said, let's get back to
very Trumpian, very Trumpian, but on the left side.
killing. Person who heard the conversation told me, he said, kill them all. In a statement, Fetterman denied the account, adding any reference.
Right. Fetterman went on to make statements that shocked people and opposing ceasefire. He said, let's get back to killing. A person who heard a conversation told me. A person who told all these anonymous sources. A person, right, who heard the conversation told me. So this is like a third-hand party. He said, kill them all. In a statement, Fetterman denied an account, adding any reference to killing was solely about Hamas, and I do support the destruction of that organization down to the last member, right? Said kill them all, right? It was like, I heard from anonymous source that heard from somebody that he said, what? I heard from somebody that heard from somebody that heard it.
Reference to killing was solely about Hamas, and I do support the destruction of that organization down to its last member.
He had been endorsed by Bernie Sanders. He had been sort of the progressive wing of the party.
I mean, I spent a lot of time covering him before this happened.
I talked to him about in that interview I did a long time ago to his wife, who came here when she was undocumented, and he gave a very spirited defense of her being here.
Yeah, I think anyone who knew him before and knows him now knows that he's a different man.
And he has moved to the right, I think, on a number of key issues.
He had moved to the right on a number of key issues. Moved to the right. Instead of moving in what's right for the country, he moved to the right. On a number of key issues, he moved to the right.
This has been a really difficult situation. What do you think is the right thing for Senator Fetterman to be doing right now?
To take care of himself. I think that anyone suffering depression in any instance, it's hard to keep up with school, keep up with a job, to be U.S. Senator and suffer from depression. I can only imagine what him and his family are going through.
This is something that we've done not only with Fetterman, but across the board. And it's an important question to ask after you've given somebody the opportunity to show what they can do and what they can bring to the table. I think that it was noble for Democrats to say, let him go through. Can he lead in a way that will be effective for his constituents?
And I know, Adam.
She said they gave him the opportunity. Right? It was mighty noble of the Democrats of giving him the opportunity to act right. Since he didn't act right, he's not fit to run for office. Listen to what she's saying. They gave him an opportunity. It was mighty noble of them to give him an opportunity.
Depression. I can only imagine what him and his family are going through.
This is something that we've done not only with Fetterman, but across the board. And it's an important question to ask after you've given somebody the opportunity to show what they can do and what they can bring to the table. I think that it was noble for Democrats to say, let him go through. Can he lead in a way that will be effective for his constituents?
And I know Adam Jentleson. I served with him in the Senate. We were friends. And he is someone who, serves his principles and is loyal. And he's only sounding the alarm because he believes that the public needs to know that there is something.
He's only sounding the alarm, but the public needs to know. But nobody sounded the alarm on Joe Biden. But everybody now sounded the alarm on Fetterman. Nobody sound no alarm. Now they are regretting it. Well, we should have done this. We should have done that. Oh, now you're regretting doing it to Joe? Not doing it to Joe? So now you're going to assume and do it to Fetterman? Well, we didn't do it to Joe, but we're going to ring all the alarms on Fetterman.
But now I don't think that it's criticizing him on the back of separating from his party. I think it's just a simple fact of what his staffers are saying. Like, he wasn't going to vote because he was depressed. He was kind of all over the place. He got his wife in an accident, never reported it, not taking the medicine that his doctor is requiring. I mean, these are all.
Not taking the medicine. Everybody's saying that now. How do everybody know he's not taking the medicine? Who released that? The doctor? The doctor needs to get sued. That's confidential and private. He needs to sue if that record is released that he's not taking his medication. And how do they know? Supposedly, if he haven't got no blood drawn.
All serious
Let's see
health,
some receipts.
physical and mental concerns. And like you said,
let's see some receipts.
He's doing a disservice not only to his constituents, but to himself. And I think he fears for his well-being. And so this entire reporting is extremely devastating, but I think that he really needs to think about what is best for him and his family at this point.
You're really not going to meet a more genuine person. And the thing I worry about is that this is an attack against him because he's been so outspoken against, for instance, some of the protests and things like that.
He's still
look at him. He finally spoke some truth. He finally spoke some truth. Kingston, whatever your damn the crime motherfuckers finally spoke some truth. Well, John Fetterman is this and he's that. I hope it's not being done because of Israel. Well, guess what, nigga? It is being done because of Israel.
Meet a more genuine person. And the thing I worry about is that this is an attack against him because he's been so outspoken against, for instance, some of the protests and things like that.
He still votes with the Democrats mostly, but particularly on Israel and Gaza.
He's ticked off a lot of Dems. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm just saying I hope that's not the case.
Huh? He pissed off a lot of Democrats. I hope that's not the case. Well, you speaking the truth, and you said I hope that's not the case. You know it's the case. You know it. You just can't say it. You know that he pissed off a lot of Democrats. I just hope that's not the case. Well, what else is the case, partner? He changed his views. Oh, he changed his views. That means he right. But as long as he had the same views and voted the same way, it was all good. But as soon as he changed his views on certain things, he's incapable of holding office.
Some of the protests and things like that.
He still votes with the Democrats mostly, but particularly on Israel and Gaza.
He's ticked off a lot of Dems. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm just saying I hope that's not the case.
And there's some really unnerving things that you report him saying. He went on to make statements that shock people.
In my sort of recent reporting and talking to my sources on the Hill, you do get the sense that Fetterman very much operates and perhaps feels like he is a man alone, like he is standing alone, especially in the Democratic Party.
I think that people are surprised by this because it seems out of character for the man who kind of exuded empathy. That was his
It's out of character, John Fetterman now, right? He's a different person.
Radical empathy was a big part of who he was. And this kind of rhetoric just does not square with that.
And I'm not saying that in the context of this, this story that came out by Ben Terrace that then you spoke to him about, but rather in the context of some of these issues, the government shutdown, for example, where, of course, the party itself really, there's huge backlash against Chuck Schumer, and John Fetterman was one of the loudest voices out there saying, this is ridiculous. Why would we shut the government down?
Huh? The government shut down Israel. He's going far right with these issues, right? He's no longer left, far left. He's not even in the middle. He's going far right. He's MAGA. Kick his ass out the Democratic Party.
Very much at odds with the base of the party. I mean, how much do you think these two things are interacting?
This is what I want to sort of, you don't sort of define, say this definitively, but in the last 35 seconds here, I mean, you don't want to pathologize someone's politics. And yet this is a person who suffered an enormous trauma health-wise. Like, is he a different person? Is that what the people around him say?
Yeah, I mean, look, during that time of the government shutdown fight, John Fetterman stopped going to the Democratic lunches. He had been sort of on an island, as you say, on that issue. He was publicly out there calling not for.
He probably like, these motherfuckers over here is nuts. They believe in killing babies, right? They believe men should play in women's sports, right? These motherfuckers would fuck with me because of Israel. Right, they want to close down the damn government. I don't agree with these sons of bitches on none of it. Look. How do we know that John Fetterman was sitting by himself? How do we know didn't no Democrats want to sit with him? Right, on a penny, all the other presidents' back is turned towards Abraham Lincoln and want to free the slave on the brown penny, right? And they finna get rid of that. If you get rid of the only brown person to free the slaves on the penny, we don't really need no more pennies, right? So the person who abided slavery is about to be gone on the coin, right? But think about this: all the presidents turned their back on Abraham Lincoln on the coins. How do we know all the Democrats didn't turn their back on John Fetterman on the Israel and the shutting down the government? Oh, don't go sit by that nigga. Let that nigga have to take by himself. They had the option to go sit with him. He was like, man, get the fuck away from me. I don't want none of you sons of bitches away from me. He went sadly and sat, and I'm pretty sure everybody sat with their constituents or who they want to talk to, who they associate with, or who they in a posse with, or in the squad with, or something like that. John Fetterman like, I'm not rocking with none of y'all. Oh, this nigga's crazy.
Shutdown fight. John Fetterman stopped going to the Democratic luncheon.
If y'all not gonna fuck with me, I might as well stop coming. Right? Yeah, since y'all gonna treat me like shit, I might as well not even come. Why come? Y'all gonna treat me like shit.
He had been sort of on an island, as you say, on that issue. He was publicly out there calling against a shutdown. That was before Chuck Schumer ultimately aligned with him on that case, and he grew very frustrated with his party.
People around him say he's changed. Sure, I don't know if he's a fully different person, but certainly the reason that the story came to be is because people can't tell anymore what is an issue that comes from his mental health and what is an issue that he truly has always believed. The fact that he can't tell anymore is the problem.
He's also been frustrated with his party on issues involving Israel as well, and that came up in our interview.
We don't know him no more.
When I talked to him about that,
we don't know him no more. He's a different person. We don't know him no more.
It's believed. The fact that you can't tell anymore is...
We can't tell who he is no more. He's not taking his medication. Well, wasn't he the same person, right? Or getting back to the same person he was before he took his medication? Remember, I was calling him racist and violent because he put a gun on the black dude. And remember, I was making videos about all kind of shit about Joe Fetterman and racist and violent and all kind of shit, right? Well, ain't he getting back to his regular self? Remember they was saying John Fetterman was calling people niggas and shit, right? Ain't he getting back to his regular angry self? Back to how he was off the medication? We don't know him no more. Motherfucker, you never did know me. What the fuck? You just knew me from a campaign. We don't know who he is no more.
Is the problem.
He's also been frustrated with his party on issues involving Israel as well, and that came up in our interview when I talked to him about that. There have been some allegations that perhaps some of his behavior was tied to that, tied to his positions such as on Israel. He said that there's absolutely nothing to do with that at all.
You have said that Israel should be allowed to prosecute its own war without conditions from the United States.
I do.
Wait, that was a good point, Sherry Crick. The Democrats are medical experts when it comes to them. They were talking about invoking the 25th amendment on Donald Trump, right? But they didn't say nothing about Joe Biden in no 25th amendment. He's perfectly in good health. He's mentally fit. He's in best condition. Nothing, right? They medical experts. Only when it fits them. They medical experts. They legal experts, right? They financial experts. They women experts, right? They earth experts, right? Only when it fits them. Peace experts, immigration experts, right? Right? They always say, just like on Facebook, right? Or social media, it's always the loneliest bitches have the perfect thing to say about a relationship. Well, why you not in a relationship? You a relationship expert, right? But when it comes to your relationship, you ain't got one. You don't know how to keep one. You don't even know how to start the relationship that even evolve into something that may have a meaningful future, right? But on Facebook and social media, you put up all these posts and all these quotes and all this advice and all this other shit, but you lonely. Just like the Democrats. They only medical experts when it comes to somebody they don't like. Oh, he's totally unfit to hold office. Well, wait a minute. You totally miss Joe Biden fitness? They experts when it comes to their shit.
Its own war without conditions from the United States.
I do. I don't know what the turn of words is. That of course everyone has the right to defend yourself, a nation, but you also have the right, I believe, to go after and eliminate Hamas, or at least to force them to surrender. And I'm confused why we're not talking about that more.
And Glenn, in another part of this article, they describe his wife being in tears. She's a sort of liberal humanitarian. She was upset over his position on Israel and Gaza.
They said his wife was in tears, right? Now his wife, they know his medical and his relationship problems, right? His wife was in tears when they said he heard about this and loud broken and said, "How can you do this? How can you go? Don't you know his baby's dying? Right? How can you do this? Why would you go with the Israels? Why you can't go with Hamas?" His wife is very liberal. Think about this. He's gonna break up with his wife, and they're gonna have a breakup or a divorce over his political stance. Nothing to do with what kind of father or husband he was or is, right? I'm going to break up with you and I'm going to divorce your ass for Hamas. Right? These motherfuckers, right? She didn't cry over nothing. She going to cry over the relationship, over his political stance that he's taking because he has to do what's best for the country and not best for the political liberal party. How could you? How could you have that view on Israel? I want a divorce.
She was upset over his position on Israel and Gaza to the point of, being quite emotional about it and saying, listen, they're bombing babies. You can't have this position.
And if you are going to protest, why aren't we protesting? I can't end that war. Joe Biden can't end that war. Netanyahu can't end that war, but Hamas could end it right now, immediately. They could release the last hostage and they could surrender. And all of the misery and the death and the destruction ends right there.
But
yeah, yeah. Hey, Drunky, see, I remember that when Trump was walking down when Trump was walking down the steps and shit, right? He was walking, right? And like, oh, he have Alzheimer's, right? He can't hold a cup up to his face, right? They had a big article, they had extras coming up in here. See, the way he's walking right now is because, it could be a medical condition. He don't want to, his equilibrium and his balance. That's a sign of, they had all kind of extras on CNN and MSNBC 24/7 and shit, right? Trump has Alzheimer's. He can't even walk down the stairs. Look at him. He need help, right? The Trump came down there. Look, I had slippery shoes. The ramp was wet, and I didn't want to bust my ass, right? He came and totally debunked that story the next day. Like, he couldn't hold a cup up to his mouth. Well, I had on a tie, and I wanted to make sure I didn't spill the water on the tie, right? So I held my hand, you know what I'm saying, my elbow up to my arm to prevent the drip on this tie, and looking like a damn fool with a wet stain on my tie. Oh, but he has Alzheimer's. He can't lift his arms up. Right? This motherfucker was crazy. Oh, did you see the way down? He was hunched over. Right? That's a sign of Alzheimer's. That's a sign of this. Look at his equilibrium. Well, the medical experts say what Donald Trump said. Nigga, what? Okay.
There's no question about it. He is someone who has staked out a position that is at odds with much of his caucus on some of these key fundamental issues. So when it does come time for him to run for re-election in 2028, assuming that he does, I think you would probably expect some folks are clamoring to challenge him from the left in Pennsylvania.
Now, she denies that there's been any changes in his health status. But when you read the details here, including of his stay at Walter Reed, you come away with a quite clear impression that he is not well.
Yeah, didn't they say Robert F. Kennedy got holes in his brain, right? Well, we all know, when did that medical report get released? His head like a bowling ball. We got a X-ray of his head, and he got 3 holes in his head like a bowling ball. Like what the fuck? We don't know if it's a head or a bowling ball with a face on it. Like, what the fuck? Oh my God. Who gonna release, like, man, I got 3 holes in my brain. Let me go release these records. Oh my God. I wouldn't get them related. I got 3 holes in my brain. They drilled 3 times in my brain.
That it's impacted his ability to serve his constituents, that it has fundamentally changed his positioning and his approach to a number of issues that voters elected him, to have a certain ideological viewpoint on.
In these divided times in Washington, we wanted to hear from a senator who has pledged to work across the aisle. Democratic Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania was the first sitting Democrat to head to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump.
Oh, shit. Did you hear what he said? Right? He was the first Democrat to go meet with Donald Trump, right? He was the first one that broke the grave, right? That gotta be trouble. Because look how they treated everybody after Fetterman, right? This was the first straw on the camel back. This wasn't the last straw. This is the first straw. Israel was the last straw, right? But this is the first straw. This motherfucker met with at Mar-a-Lago, right, with Donald Trump. Oh, hell no. We can't have those shit like, oh, hell to the no. We can't have no peaceful shit like that. What's wrong with this nigga crossing the line like that? This nigga meet with Donald Trump.
Fetterman of Pennsylvania was the first sitting Democrat to head to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump.
Yeah, just to address the leading example you raised, of course, it is true that in 2022 and elsewhere, Fetterman sort of gave lip service to the idea that he was in favor of Israel.
I don't know why he's going down there, and I think he was elected by a very strong progressive base in his state, and since his election, really after the midterms, he has become more and more centrist, and that was not the way the people who elected him in Pennsylvania expected him to govern and protect.
They expected him not to go down to Mar-a-Lago to meet with the president. He's a senator, right? He's a senator, but they told him, man, don't go down to Mar-a-Lago to meet with the president. I don't think that's a good idea for a senator to go meet with the president. Me personally, I don't think that's a good idea for a person to represent the people to go meet the president of the United States, who ultimately is in charge of taking care of the people and is responsible for the people. I shouldn't go talk to the people who are responsible for my people because of what the left thinks. Ain't that a bitch? I don't think that's a good idea.
I don't know why he's going.
Fetterman sort of gave lip
I don't know
service to
why
the
he's
idea that he
going.
was in favor of Israel.
I don't know why he's going.
I don't know why he's going down there, and I think he was elected by a very strong progressive base in his state, and since his election, really after the midterms, he has become more and more centrist, and that was not the way the people who elected him in Pennsylvania expected him to govern, and particularly go down to Mar-a-Lago. I do think, though, what he is doing, I don't agree with it, but I think what he is doing is he is seeing his state. He is seeing that there are pieces of his state that he also represents that run the gamut in the political ideology, and
that's what he said.
And he wants to be reelected.
He's supposed to work for everybody, right? I can see this. That was one of the dumbest statements ever made on national TV, right?
His state that he also represents.
There's other people in his state that he also represents, right? Besides us, right? Right? This is the stupidest ass. They be like, bitch, what else is he supposed to do? There's other people that in the state that I guess he represent like this. He shouldn't go because other people in the state, I guess other people in his state that he represents that would want him to go. Well, didn't he win the state? Shouldn't he go see what most people in the state voted for and what most people in the state want? That is the stupidest shit I ever heard. A person that won the state by damn near a landslide or whatever, right? They expected him to win. Didn't win, and the majority of the people voted for Donald Trump. He wants to go see what majority of people of his state want. I don't think that's a good idea. Well, evidently he's is other people in the state that he represents. Yes,
his state. I think, though, what he is doing, I don't agree with it, but I think what he is doing is he is seeing his state. He is seeing that there are pieces of his state that he also represents that run the gamut in the political ideology, and
that's what he said.
And he wants to be reelected.
That's what he said.
I think most people understand that if you want to win statewide office, especially in a state like Pennsylvania, where there's a very heavy pro-Jewish contingent, pro-Israel contingent, you can't just be like waving a Palestinian flag. So I think people kind of dismiss that.
That the 34-count case in which Donald Trump was found guilty of various financial crimes was.
You're right about this, right? Okay, Dean, right? He tried to be a centrist in this shit right here. I'm trying to be a centrist in this, right? Oh, no, you can't be a centrist. You got to be all the way one way. We can't have you going in the middle of no shit. We can't have you going both ways like you're transgender, right? We love people going both ways when it's sexual, right? But we hate it when it's political. We don't want you to go both ways. We want you one way, right? But if you a man or a woman, you go both ways. You be anything you want. Go for anything, be anything. But if you a Democrat, you can't do anything that MAGA, Donald Trump, or the Republicans do for. Right? Go for. Or else your ass is out the car. You disowned. You can't be a centrist in the Democratic Party. It is illegal.
politically motivated here in New York?
I found that when the judicial system gets weaponized and targeted political enemies for political gain, I think that's inappropriate, and I think that degrades our collective trust in this a very important institution, whether that's on a Democratic going after a Republican or a Republican going after a Democratic one. And I like to think I call it strikes and balls, because the judicial system has to remain impartial. I mean, that's really the cornerstone of our society.
But what?
Hell no, that's too much of a centrist. You can't do that. Your ass is crazy. Look, they said he's crazy, right? They want him. Remember, right? When what's the name of the Nick what's it called? When he's like, here's Eddie or here's Andy or who's it? Here's whatever that. They want him to go crazy like that. Jack Nicholson when he busted out at that base motel. Here's whatever. They said he crazy like that now. Oh, we don't know his mood swings. He's cussing people out. You know, he's agreeing with Mac and he's going crazy. What was it? What did that dude say? Here's Eddie. What was the name of that movie? What was it? That name? Here's Johnny. Was it Johnny? Here's Johnny. Right? That was the crazy shit. They want Fetterman to go out like that. What was his name? Was it Johnny? Forgot that Jack Nicholson name when he busted the door like on some psycho shit. Like, was it the movie Psycho? The Shining. Yeah, it was The Shining. That was the name of the movie. What was his name on the Shining, Sherry K? And like, here's Eddie. Here's Johnny. Here's Johnny. Here's Fetterman. He gonna go crazy. Look. He gonna go crazy on the Democrat. They're gonna be having a meeting and shit, and they're not gonna. Yeah, Johnny. Here's Johnny. They're gonna be having a meeting, right? And then without Fetterman, they ain't gonna invite him. They ain't gonna be like, here's Johnny. Here's Johnny.
Did you turn off the internet?
Maybe.
Turn it back on now!
No.
Mom!
No.
You better turn back on that freaking internet right now. Just about to start a new game! My friends are wondering where I went! Open this damn door up!
Oh, you said a no-no word!
I'm an adult! I
Yeah.
can say what I want. Here's William! Did you turn off the internet?
Maybe.
Turn it back on! Turn it back on now! Did you turn off the internet? Mom! Turn it back on! Turn it back on now!
You said a no-no word!
I'm an adult! I
Yeah.
can say what I want.
You said a no-no word!
I'm an adult! I
Yeah.
can say what I want. Here's William! Here's William! Here's William!
Wait, it's my shit.
Here's William! Here's William! Here's William! Here's William! Here's William!
Sweet.
Mom! Did you turn off the internet?
Maybe.
Turn it back on! Turn it back on now!
No.
Did you turn off the internet? Mom! Turn it back on! Turn it back on
You
now!
said a no-no word!
I'm an adult! I
Yeah.
can say what I want.
You said a no-no word!
I'm an adult! I
Yeah.
can say what I want. Here's William! Here's William! Here's William!
Here's Johnny. Here's Johnny. They want to go Johnny. Here's Johnny. Don't go Johnny on him. Don't go Johnny on him, man. Keep the cool. Don't go Johnny. Here's Johnny. Don't go Johnny on the please, man. Right? But these Democrats are fucking crazy. They want people to go crazy. They want to put you in a nutcase bag. He's nuts. Here's William.
What we've seen from him is not just like sort of pro-Israel lip service, but like almost like a psychotic joy in seeing the destruction, wanting it to continue.
Here's Johnny. He has a sick fetish, right, of seeing the construction want to continue. Here's Johnny. Here's Fetterman.
Joy in seeing the destruction, wanting it to continue. Psychotic joy in seeing the destruction, wanting it to continue, on top of an extremely hostile posture to anybody who raises it with him. You know, he tries to be just as kind of offensive and alienating as possible in the ways that he speaks.
Here's Johnny. Did you turn the internet on? You said it, no word. Here's Johnny. No, you said, Fetterman, you said a no word. You said Israel. Here's Johnny.
Which I don't think was the John Fetterman that we saw regularly prior to this stroke.
But what I am is I'm just a regular Democrat. I'm not leaving my party, but I'm not sure why some of the things that I've chosen to do, like meeting with nominees and having views that might be more aligned with some of the Republican side.
You don't know what I do. I'm not leaving my party. Well, guess what? Your party is leaving you, right? I met with all the people that's going to get confirmed. You ain't supposed to do that. You ain't supposed to talk to Donald Trump nominees. Why you do that? That's another straw on the camel's back. Not the last straw. It's like the third, the fourth, or the fifth straw.
I think that's part of politics, and that's pretty much consistent with just doing the job and representing the kind of state that we have in Pennsylvania.
It's not just pieces of his state. I mean, look at Pennsylvania. Between 2016, 2020, and 2024, there's been a huge shift over toward Republicans. Voter registration. Republicans are now a net 205,000 more Republicans registered in the state than there were back in 2019.
Right, there's 200,000 more. So you don't think, for one instance, not saying that he's leaning to the right. Let's say John Fetterman. We're not gonna say. Let's say he's Democrat, right? But he's honest, right? Not even a centrist. Let's say he's common sense, right? Not even a centrist. Most of his people that voted are voting Republican at a net of over 200,000 more voters. The Democrat is down damn near 167,000, right? So what they're trying to, with John Fetterman, if he's going to be a politician and see what his constituents want, it's not that he's leaning more right. He's listening to the voters, right? And what's wrong with that, right? But most of his state is leaning towards the right. Okay, shouldn't that tell you something, right? That doesn't mean he's dumb. That doesn't mean he's stupid. That doesn't mean he doesn't have enough common sense. That means he has more common sense than most of the Democrats. As a matter of fact, his approval rating is higher than all the Democrats. Out of all the Democrats, besides a couple of governors and stuff like that, in the Congress and in the Senate, right, as far as Democrats, he has the highest approval rating, right? Over Jasmine Crockett, over Kamala Harris, over all the Democrats. He has, even though he's not running for president, but among what he does for his state and his constituents and the people that voted for John Fetterman, right? He has a higher percentage and probably has a better chance of getting reelected than anybody in the Democratic Party. But they're saying he's not fit. Why? Because he might get reelected and keep the same views and might be a centrist. We can't have that in the Democratic Party. We got to outcast him. We got to get that seat. He's unfit.
I'm always a little hesitant to comment on someone's mental health or psychological state, in part because I'm not a professional, but also because it's hard to assess people from a distance. But it is so interesting to me, when he had that stroke, every Republican I know was saying, he's a vegetable. How can he possibly run, yet alone win?
The state is changing.
I said that. I agree. I admit. I said that. This nigga's a vegetable. This nigga done. This nigga through. Hello, good night. This nigga's done. This nigga's done. Hello, good night. It's over with. Ring the alarm. Dr. Oz for Pennsylvania. Ring the alarm. Nah, they got Fetterman. I said, oh shit, they got a vegetable in. But now I agree with what he finna say. I think Fetterman has done a good job. I think he has done that. I agree with him now. It's not that because he's agreeing with Republican, even though I don't agree with a lot of his shit, more of it she agree with than not agree with, right? I disagree with more of his shit. But I got to give him the benefit of the doubt. We have more Democrats like John Fetterman that wouldn't across the aisle, right, voting with common sense policies and stuff like that and speak the truth. Both parties would be stronger and the country would be stronger.
Because I'm not a professional, but also because it's hard to assess people from a distance. But it is so interesting to me, when he had that stroke, every Republican I know was saying, he's a vegetable. How can he possibly run, yet alone win?
The state.
You were saying that too. Rich Chocolate and Coco was saying that shit too. Like, this nigga's a vegetable. Rich Chocolate and Coco didn't know. We were saying that more than we were saying Joe Biden. We thought he was worse off than Joe Biden. And I said, this dude is done. I thought Joe Biden was cooked. I even done the video. Remember that, Miss Coco? I even done the video saying this nigga is cooked. This nigga's over with. I done a video, a couple of videos. While we was wrong, Miss Coco. We was wrong on that one.
Was saying, he's a vegetable. How can he possibly run?
Well, me and Miss Coco was wrong on that one right there, partner.
On win.
The state is changing. He knows that. He is
but
not.
Can I just say one more thing to the point is that I think what I'd like to see someone like a John Fetterman do is like what you run on, still stand by it and talk to your voters and explain to them why they elected you in the first place.
Wait, talk to your voters. Ain't that what he's doing? The state is turning red and he's talking to his voters and evidently he's doing what they're saying do, right? If he got an approval rate more than all the Democrats, evidently he's doing the job.
His positions.
So, like I've been warning people, like you got to chill out. Like the constant, freak out. It's not helpful. So, pack a lunch, pace yourself, because he hasn't even taken office yet.
And the minute he comes out and says, I'm a big supporter of Israel, they're all like, wow, his brain recuperated. He's one of the most sensible people in all of Washington.
No, Miss Coco didn't say no shit like that. We saw the nigga speaking better. We saw him making more common sense, right? We don't agree with him on the border and immigration shit. He married to an immigrant. Evidently, we don't care who he married to, but we don't agree with his policies. We don't agree with a lot of his gay stuff and shit like that, right? But we agree with a lot of his common sense values. You know what I'm saying? It's not because the nigga was talking about Israel. Man, Miss Coco don't know shit about Israel, his views on Israel. I didn't know what his views on Israel was. I didn't give a damn. I was just talking about how he was talking the truth on certain topics. You know what I'm saying? Especially topics dealing with Donald Trump and his case and stuff like that. I was speaking on that. Like, oh, this nigga is right. Oh, Ken Stings, oh, he's right. Right? The border, oh, he's right. The war, oh, he's right. He's right on a lot of things. Okay, I got to give him the credit, the benefit of the doubt. That's why I changed my mind, not because of no damn Israel.
That really is all it takes to cure your mental health and stroke problems.
Do you think he has the potential to be a successful and a good president? I hope
because I'm not rooting against him. If you're rooting against the president, you are rooting against the nation. And I'm not ever going to be where I want a president.
I want to keep 100, right? Even though we enjoy politics, right? You think for one motherfucking instance, we was like, I want gas, right? I want gas to be out of control. So, you know what I'm saying? So I can pay these high ass prices on eggs and gas and all this sort of shit so Donald Trump can get back in office, right? I want the country to continue this war with billions of people, right? Because I want Donald Trump to get in office. I want the border wide open in the United States of America getting overran by immigrants, right? Because I want Donald Trump back in office. I want people to get shot. I want people racism to exist. I want all these things to happen, right? Men is beating the shot of women in sports. I want all this shit to happen because I want Donald Trump to win. But you listen to the Democrats, right? They don't want the government to shrink. They want to keep money going out to certain certain organizations, right? They want to protect transgender. They want to keep kids and all this shit in sports. They want to fuck over the parents about parental rights and stuff like that, right? But as a Republican, you sit back and you look at these things like, and you got to understand what's the difference between the two parties. Either you gonna go with a party that make common sense, or you gonna go with a party that makes no sense, right? And you ain't gotta be a centrist. You ain't gotta be down the middle. I mean, you just gotta have common sense. If you have common sense, you can be down the middle, but most of your views gonna turn out to be conservative. If you're down the middle, you honest, you care about what's best for the country. If you want a country to fail, but you hear the Democrats saying, "I want more government control because I want Donald Trump to fail." Right? I don't want the war to stop because I want Donald Trump to fail. I want eggs to stay high because I want Donald Trump to fail. I don't want Donald Trump to win the tariff war with China because I want Donald Trump to fail. I don't want Donald Trump to win in courts with immigrants because I want Donald Trump to fail. I don't want Donald Trump to win in no policies that can better America because I want Donald Trump to fail. And if Donald Trump fails, that means the country fails. So not only are you rooting against Donald Trump, you are rooting against the country because if Donald Trump fails, the tariff war or whatever, guess what? Your ass fell too. Because if Donald Trump succeed and he win, guess what? Your ass win too. So you're not betting right on you winning. You're hoping you hate Donald Trump so bad. You hoping you lose. You're hoping you don't get a tax break. You're hoping there's no tax. It's tax on tips. You're hoping that it's tax on Social Security, right? You're hoping none of these things go through, right? Because you're hoping Donald Trump fails, and you don't mind failing if, as a country, as long as you can say Donald Trump failed as a person. And that's a sick way of thinking.
President and president, you are rooting against the nation. If you're rooting against the president, you are rooting against the nation. And I'm not ever going to be where I want a president to fail. So country first. I know it's become maybe like a cliche, but it happens to be true.
It happens to be truth, right? Country
first. I know it's become maybe like a cliche, but it happens.
Country first. It happens to be a cliche, but I consider it to be true. I consider country first to still be a major part of my politics. Not party first. And as a Democrat, you cannot do that. That's a no-no. That is a failure in communication. That is a betrayal. Does anything you say, but you cannot do that as a Democrat. Like you say, Miss Coco, that is sad. Well, let me get up out of here. I got places to go. I got people to see. I got to get ready and do some things for my birthday party. Get flyers ready, get guests ready, do things like that. Go out and make some more t-shirts and hats and stuff like that. But I will even and I got to send Miss Chocolate and Coco stuff off. I got in there made already. I already gave Sergeant Mode his. I went and gave him personally. Now I've got to go make all the stuff. And all it is the damn patches. The jackets is made. I just say put the damn patches on it. That is lazy. That is like Miss Barbie, Miss Chocolate, Miss Coco. Time forgive me. That is just lazy. Like I just got the jackets just right there. You know, I got. Matter of fact, I gotta get some hats made too. But I just got the jacket just right there to just look. That is lazy. Oh my God. I'll be like, man, this is so simple to bam, go put them in a box. That is lazy, Miss Coco. Oh my God. But you would have before. Oh, shit. But since I'm making some, I will send them out in a couple of days. I would say today or tomorrow, but that'd be a lie. Whenever I get the present shit, I mean, just let me put the numbers on this motherfucking man and send it out. That's all I gotta do, put the numbers on it. And that's it. Then I can send this shit out. Oh, and get the shirts made. Yeah, I've got to get the shirts, but the shirts are simple. Boom, 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 boom. That's simple. But that's just lazy. Hey, Sergeant Mo said he like his, I gotta send it out. Like I said, I got all of them. I gotta get it out here. So I gotta get room. Shit, I gotta. But your shit will be out this week. Oh my God. That was crazy. Anyway, I'll be out. I'm out. I'll holler back at y'all in Minuto. I gotta go do some promoting for my birthday show. If you're in LA, you might want to come to one of my birthday shows on the 24th or the 30th. Comedy. I'm having a baby mama roast. I'm having a baby. Oh, hold on, my bad. I almost pushed the wrong thing. I'm having a baby mama roast. I'm having I'll have amateurs. It's like gonna be a karaoke competition, right? You know, I'm gonna get some regular people. They probably don't like their baby mama or their baby daddy. I'm gonna have them write a joke about it for 2 minutes, 2-minute joke, right? That should be easy to write something, you know what I'm saying? You feel passionate about it, make it funny, you know what I'm saying? Because the truth is funny. So it's gonna be a competition. You know, baby mama gonna be my birthday roast. You know how much I hate my baby mama. You know what I'm saying? Gonna be baby mama versus baby daddy. You know what I'm saying? Gonna be rounds, and you're gonna have like 7 women go. You know what I'm saying? Compete. It's gonna be a winner of the women. You got 7 men compete. It's gonna be a winner of the men, and then the woman and the man gonna compete at the end, and there's gonna be one winner, and that person wins. It's gonna be funny as shit. You might want to come if you're in LA. Anyway, I'm out. I'll see y'all later. You know what I'm saying? I got to get flyers made and stuff like that and start promoting this rap show on the 30th. If you like rap, come out to my show on the 30th. It's going to be all the way lit, all the way. There's all club songs. It's everything. You're on my Instagram, go see it, Black Rosebud. I'm out.